So, Justice, what cards do I like that are not just a person sitting? Hi, Sarah here. Welcome back.
Hey!
Thank you. Yes, this series is still going on. This time I'm going to have visual aids for myself on the side over here, which will help make it easier for me to follow along, and probably also have visual aids on the screen throughout this video to make it easier for you to follow along. This video is a part of a series that I was inspired to start a couple years back. It's the Top Tarot Trumps x Tarot Memoirs series. I was inspired to do this series from the Top Tarot Trumps tag by Musings by Mascha, where Mascha picked her favorite, let's say, Fool cards from all of her tarot decks, her favorite Sun cards, etc., etc. And then the Tarot Memoirs series was by Lisa Papez. She made that series like years and years ago, 5 or 6 plus years ago at this point. Lisa goes through each of the Major Arcana, and then later on all the minors as well, and the court cards, and picks personal examples from her life and also excerpts from different books to supplement and explain her understanding of each card in the tarot. So these two tags and series was the inspiration for this ongoing mashup series of mine. My motivation for this series, even if it takes me a long time between cards, is to keep building up my own personal associations with these cards. All throughout my time learning tarot, reading for myself and reading for others, referencing different guidebooks and books, I can see different keywords and ideas that other people come up with, but sometimes I don't really understand that idea for myself. It just doesn't really click to me. Finding personal examples for each tarot card and also finding my favorite tarot cards of that Major Arcana across each of my tarot decks, these are ways for me to build my own personal associations with these cards. So with these card explorations, I'm exploring and understanding how the archetype, how the energy of this card feels in my own body, in Sarah's life, in Sarah's context, not just in theory and keywords and based off of what other people think. I can now draw from these personal associations and infuse that into my reading and give the reading a personal spin. It'll be my reading, not just a reading that I regurgitated from other people's ideas. Essentially, I'm going to talk about 3 personal examples of justice, how I understand it in my life, and then pick 5 favorite justice cards across all my different tarot decks. And speaking of tarot decks, our neighbors just moved out and gave us this shelf that we were no longer using. Ta-da! I love that it uses more vertical space and I can have the decks at my eye level and at my hand grabby level. Okay, so before moving to Tarot Memoirs, personal examples, goodbye. So before sharing about the Tarot Memoirs, my own personal examples of justice, I first want to share how I understand justice now. Why didn't justice make sense to me before, and why it took so long between the Wheel of Fortune and this justice video. The keywords that I often saw for justice were like external kind of keywords, like consequences, retribution, or karma. I didn't really understand how to apply the justice archetype in an internal, proactive, taking action kind of way. These ideas of like consequences or retribution are just not in my own belief system. To be clear, I mean this in a way that it's just similar to belief in deity. I know that many people do believe in deities and religion of some sort, and it does mean something that is very real and very personal to you. But for me, I just don't have any belief or feeling like that. Similar to belief in deity or an external archetype or an external being, some people also believe that we should do good because it will come back to you, like the idea of karma, right? Even though I know it's been very bastardized by Western appropriation of these Hindu or Indian ideals, we should do good because it will come back to you. That doesn't make sense in my belief system. I just don't really have a belief about like external things that are like going to come back to me. I also just don't believe that good is going to come back to us just because we do good deeds. But instead, my internal compass is do good because it is in line with what I value, what feels right to me, aligned with what I want to do, what I want to be. Side note, I think that is a very important part of mutual aid as well. We ought to be giving and sharing what we have with people, not just because those people are going to give it back to us, but truly just because we are a part of a community. I've been doing a lot of internal work, assessing like how much of my energy is spent internally when I can put more of that energy externally and try to share more outward to benefit other people as well. Now, I want to share some quotes that help me visualize this concept of justice. One is from the book Tarot for the Hard Work, An Archetypal Journey to Confront Racism and Inspire Collective Healing. The author is Maria Minnis. The format of this is totally up my alley. First of all, I love when books are like broken apart like this, and it's actually visually easier to read. With my ADHD and the way that my brain is wired, it can be difficult for me to parse through like paragraphs and paragraphs of text. I can read those with audiobooks, but visually, things like this help me so much. If you like this series or this idea of applying the concepts of the Major Arcanum to different examples and also having different keywords and explaining these keywords, ways to put this into action, ways to do magic, this is definitely like a great book for that. So the quote from Tarot for the Hard Work that I feel really helps me understand justice better is this. This archetype contemplates the causes and their effects. For every choice we make, there are options we rejected. Justice makes mindful sacrifices and shepherds people through decision-making processes. Justice notices where their energy goes and checks for any spots of energetic leakage. Often depicted with weight scales, this character ensures balance between what they give and what they receive or achieve. Excessive work for insufficient results is time wasted. Exorbitant results from minimal work suggest they have more to offer. This card advocates for fairness, but they know the concepts of fairness are complicated. The more they experience the world and interact with different people, the more they graduate from black and white thinking into spacious gray areas. Justice relates the micro to the macro. Our individual lives constitute the micro, which shapes the collective, the macro. Justice wields their sword of discrimination wisely, aware that there is no single path towards liberation. What works here might not work there. What fills one's cup might drain another's. Multiple truths can be true at once. Justice meticulously considers how their actions impact their communities and determines future actions through highly contextual lenses of truth and balance. And there are so many other great snippets and excerpts in this book. I highly, highly recommend reading this book. Another justice quote I want to share is from a friend. This friend knows nothing about tarot cards, but this quote was very wise. So she told me once, "What's right and wrong differs for everyone, and it can also change depending on the situation." My entire life, I've always wanted to seek answers, the right answer, the right thing to do. And oftentimes, that also meant I would be looking to other people to see what is the right thing to do, what is the right way to act in this situation. Overall, and repeatedly, it leads to me not understanding what my own internal compass is, what my own values are, because I'm always trying to read other people to see what they consider right and wrong. This relieves so much pressure on myself to find the exact objectively right answer that's going to be correct all the time. So the main concepts that I associate with justice, now that I've explored all of these and connected all of these together, instead of just thinking about consequences and retribution and things outside of me, now I understand that justice is about making a decision, exploring all of the factors that are leading to making that decision, also seeing patterns and consequences. Like Tarot for the Hard Work says, we're seeing the macro, the outside, everything beyond ourselves in the micro. It's defining my own values, not just what others think I should value, but what I actually value, what actually feels right to me. Taking responsibility. If not you, then who? What change do I want to see from everything happening out here? And how can I act on it? How can I create this change or get this change started? Justice can also be about the heart of the matter, peeling back all the layers and getting to the root, the heart of what is this really about. So with these better understandings of justice, here are some tarot memoirs, some personal examples of what comes to mind when I think of the justice archetype. Even though the tarot card I drew for the year is the Sun, I feel like at least the first 6 months of this year, I've been really going through the justice arc, the justice character arc here. I have been putting in work to deal with my own blockages, my own bad feelings. I'm going to affectionately call this growing a spine. I've been doing therapy sessions regularly since last year, April, so it's been over 12 months at this point. I think I've mentioned therapy a few times in this long series. I think sorry, not sorry, whatever. You get what you get. I have been anxious about a lot of things. I would be anxious about things that I did do, things that I didn't do, things outside of me that I can't control, things that are within my control that I did or did not do. All of these anxieties were blocking me from actually showing up, owning my own actions, and moving forward in any way. How can I have difficult conversations with my partner when I'm afraid of what he's going to say and I'm afraid of changing my behavior if he says something he's upset with? How can I be an advocate or actually show up in the community if I'm scared about this and that and this and that? Another example of my own blockages was one of my best friends would occasionally tell me about great things that I really envied they were doing. For example, like moving into a cool house that they really enjoyed, starting different hobbies, trying different hobbies, writing a book, working on their creative projects. Every time I heard about these things that they were happily sharing with me, I would feel envy. This is not helpful for me, and it's not helpful for my friend if I keep being envious. Like, me feeling sorry for myself is not gonna help me do cool things. Me doing cool things is going to help me feel good about doing cool things. So that was one thing that I started reprocessing in therapy, like noticing this envy, noticing these bad feelings, working through them, sitting with them and letting them go, and reconnecting with that part of myself that can do the things. Essentially, this is developing and calling upon my inner adult. I have like an inner child and an inner teen in here that have all these feelings and all these tantrums and everything going on. And I also have an inner adult. The inner adult is the integrity person, the figure, I guess. I noticed that we're having these sabotaging tendencies. It's keeping us stuck. So what can we do about this? How can we have an outlet for this kind of feeling so that we're not holding this resentment, this envy in us forever? It is not my spouse's nor my friend's responsibility or capability to heal my own baggage and my own shame and my own insecurities. I also have to take ownership of what my own self-sabotaging tendencies and my blockages are. So the ultimate question here is, how can I deal with this properly so that I can actually show up? For example, giving more money towards mutual aid requests when I see them, or looking at community events in my area, organizations that are doing work in my area, and how can I support them either monetarily or socially by going to their events or something. But all of that does take a lot of effort to reintegrate and get into. My justice character arc continues as I'm trying to deal with my own shit so that I can really show up and be present in the community. Another personal example of justice has been making decisions about my tarot tabling. A couple months back in May this year, I was tarot tabling for the first time. I even made a whole video and little vlog about it. I tried to vlog again about future experiences, but dude, it was so much work. I don't think I'll vlog again for a long time. Big props to people who are able to make tarot tabling and tarot readings their full-time job. For me, though, I just wanted to try it as a general endeavor. Justice is definitely the most relevant tarot archetype in tarot tabling because there are so many decisions to make and so many possibilities to consider scoping out different markets and events. I'm looking at their Instagram pages, looking at their locations, which can I feasibly drive to and which are just too far. I'm looking at their vibes and their demographics. Is this the audience that I would really want to reach and connect with? Would I enjoy hanging out with this demographic of people? Or would I feel really awful, like I'm really masking and putting on a face the whole time? Setting prices is, of course, another decision about tarot tabling. I would want to have a steady flow of queerness the whole night, but also not setting them too low that I feel like my energy has been taken advantage of. Even as I'm looking towards other people to see what they've done, what can be done, what is possible, I'm also remembering for myself, how did I come to this decision? What feels right for me right now? Am I dressing up because I feel like I should? Or am I dressing up because I really want to and it feels right for me? Am I choosing a tarot spread because it feels right for me? Or am I doing it because I feel like other people expect me to do it? Other people might have a really mystical, sparkly, magical kind of aesthetic. For me, I really like the artsy aesthetic. Really colorful, really artsy. Yeah, all these decisions, that's definitely very justice-y. Third example that makes me think of justice is having follow-up conversations about difficult topics. One of the traits of justice that the Tarot for the Hard Work book mentions is exhibits diplomacy. A specific example about this memoir is a friend. This is the same friend who gave me that quote about what's right or wrong is different for everyone. She, I, and another friend have been on the same leadership team for a while, for like many years now. In being a part of that moderating team, that admin team, we have had some very difficult decisions to make and difficult topics to address. Our personal beliefs, how we think we should be moderating, what we should do about specific members or issues in the community. And I've been a part of many teams in the past, whether as a leader or just as a fellow member. But this was the first time that I had difficult conversations and also follow-up conversations to resolve these disagreements and resolve these wrongs. I contrast it with public call-outs or public disagreements and fights. In all of the public call-outs and the drama on the internet that I've seen growing up, I don't often see like public making amends either. And even the way that I grew up in my family, we just didn't really make up. We didn't really address things. We just pushed it under the rug until things blew up again. So for this team, yeah, we would disagree, but after some time passed, the next time we would voice call or just have another discussion, they would check in with me and they would check in how I felt and how I'm doing as a person. So this idea of exhibiting diplomacy, reaching out even after there has been disagreement and trying to get on the same page, trying to understand, and also still holding your ground, that was revolutionary for me. And that definitely is an energy that I want to bring more of to the world and that I would love to just see more of from people in general. I know that conversations can be really easy to avoid, they can be really difficult, but learning to repair relationships is something that I am currently learning about and, wanting to look for more of in my life. Justice, just like anything we're trying to put into practice, is not meant to be perfect. In court cases, there are times when either new evidence or new reframing has come up and people or judges, they reverse their verdict. Just like us in everyday life. Like when we're doing these things, we don't have to show up perfectly. There's always going to be chances to make amends, to adjust, and to keep practicing that inner muscle until we can build that integrity and that solid foundation in ourselves. With these follow-up conversations, yes, they wanted to better understand where I was coming from, and also they still felt how they felt. We can understand others and still be firm in our own selves. So that was Tarot Memoirs, personal examples of justice. Now I want to move to Top Tarot Trumps, my favorite justice cards across all of my different tarot decks. Ooh, my brain is sparking. It's sparking. This is really making sense to me right now. Just like many other major arcana, I really like when decks show different concepts and scenes of the archetype, not just a person sitting and holding the scales. I know it's symbolic, but I want to see different interpretations. So justice, what cards do I like that are not just a person sitting? One of my favorite justice cards is from the Modern Love Tarot. And this card is a couples counseling session. We have what looks like the therapist or the counselor in the middle and the couple in the foreground. My spouse and I did couples counseling a couple years back before we got married. I had asked for it because I wanted some help bringing forth some tough conversations I did not know how to bring up or how to navigate. For example, disagreements on having kids, fear of abandonment, to be honest, other commitments and goals together, things like that. This depiction of not only a single therapist, but the therapist and their clients, the three of them in the Justice card, is really cool to me. This idea of dissecting, looking at these different arguments and these different disconnections, these different incidents, finding the links between all of them, finding the underlying issue that is driving all of them, the root cause, that is so fascinating to me. I freaking love therapy and I love psychology. Another favorite justice card is from the Way of the Panda Tarot, one of my first tarot decks, still one of my most beloved tarot decks. In this card, we see a panda who is holding another panda at bay. The first panda has a sword in their hand. Sword can represent clarity of thought. I like that this card is showing an action. Again, not just a person sitting and holding a sword. The action is actually pushing someone away. Every action is a choice. Even inaction, not taking action, is a choice, even if that choice is subconscious. And I understand, we are not able to make all of the choices all the time or take action all the time, but it is a choice to choose what to act on because we only have so much energy in the day and only so many resources to work with. Taking action and making decisions, choosing one course of action in the middle of all the possibilities. Besides pushing this panda away, this panda could also just let the other panda in. They could also roll away. They could turn their back on the other panda. So putting that foot forward is just one possible action out of all the other things that panda could be doing. Another favorite justice card is from the Muse Tarot. I did a Muse Tarot study a while back. I made a little video explaining how I went through every card and really reflected on the symbolism of each one. And the Justice card here was one that really boggled my mind for a bit until I was studying it on camera. We see a face that is opening up to have another face inside. Then that face is also opening up a little bit to have a light of enlightenment inside as well. The moon in the back is confusion or unclarity, kind of feeling it out as we go. The face inside the face with the light opening up inside makes me think of finding the answer. And yet the answer is not something concrete. It's just a knowing inside us. Like I was saying earlier, I'm understanding now that the right answer isn't always something that is clear and attainable. The answer is just a feeling that I keep searching for in myself. Me doing this series, for example, even though it's taking a long time between videos and they're not the most popular, they're not getting thousands of views, they're not making me any money, it's okay. This feels like the right answer for me in my body. Also, I was just rewatching one of my favorite shows, The Good Place. It is a philosophical show relating to the afterlife. One of my favorite characters from The Good Place that stood out to me even more from my recent rewatch is Chidi Anagonye. Chidi is a character that is also always searching for the right answer. Every time Chidi is faced with a decision and there is no clear right answer, which is every single decision ever, he gets a stomach ache. He has anxiety. This poor guy. But he goes through a really wonderful character arc in the show as he continues searching for this answer. Going back to what I said earlier, again, like, it reminds me that it's not something that we can just get once and then we know and we're good forever. We just have to keep trying and practicing having integrity, I guess. Another favorite Justice card is from the Spacious Tarot. This card was surprising to me at first. I didn't think I would like it, but as I looked through other decks and as I re-reflected on Justice, this one was making more sense to me. We have a rock that is black and white that is in the middle of like a pond or a river, and there's ripples emanating outside of the rock. So this reminds me of effects and consequences of our choices or our non-choices. Not only are there ripples, but noticing that like how big and small the ripples are. If you were to throw a big rock, the ripples would be really big. If you were to throw a really small rock, the ripples would be small. And also, like in other cards, we could be any figure in the card. In this card here, we could be the rock or we could be the ripple. What is this rock that someone else has thrown in? What is their choice? And what is the ripple? What is the consequence on you right now? And a fifth favorite Justice card is from the Unicorn's Journey Tarot. In this card, we see Mystic the Unicorn, who has played around in the mud, and her friend is now having to hose her off. I initially was averse to this card because I thought it just felt like arbitrary or like a should, but when I looked at it more, I was like, you know what? Actually, this makes sense though, because choosing to hose someone off is a choice. Like, yeah, a lot of people would just choose to do it, and we think that we should do it, but it still is a personal choice. There was a book that I read recently too called How to Keep House While Drowning by Casey Davis. It's a book about reframing our own ideas for what our home, our living space should look like, understanding my motivation. So am I wanting to clean and to tidy because I should do it, because I'm attaching moral judgments to it, because I think I'm a better person or I'm a cleaner person if I do? Or am I going to clean and tidy because I want to keep the space functional for me? So that idea of should and arbitrary versus want to and making it functional because it has a purpose, that's a really key part of the Justice archetype. We are making decisions, we're assessing things because we want to and because it is in line with what we value, because it's what helps us function. You could let Mystic be dirty for another day or another week. You could just not allow Mystic to be outside anymore. Everything here is a choice, a decision. That is my Tarot Memoirs and Top Tarot Trumps series. Thank you for people who have been watching thus far, whether this is your first video in this series or whether you've watched all of them. If you've watched all of them, like, thank you so much. Thank you for being here with me on this ride. Before I close out, I want to share about this post about ways to get involved and to understand more about what's happening in your local communities. If you're figuring stuff out like me, I hope that you can find this post really helpful. The post is too long to read out loud here, but I'll link it in the description. It has a lot of questions about areas and things that you can explore that might be of interest to you when you're looking to get involved in your local community. It is never too late to get started, to broaden your horizons. There are people out there who need you, who need us. So let's show up for them how we can, right? So those are some of my favorite Justice cards and personal examples of justice in my life. What do you like to see in Justice cards? And also, do you have examples of justice in your own life? Let us share. Let me understand more about justice for everybody else in their real lives. All right, that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Bye.